I'm Kelsey Zeiser. I'm a senior editor at Light Reading, and you're listening to the Light Reading Extra podcast. We're here at Cisco Live in San Diego, California, and I'm joined by
Jim Frey. I'm a principal analyst for Enterprise Strategy Group for Enterprise Networking.
And you're also with Omdia, correct?
Well, that's part of Omdia.
Yeah,
Exactly. Enterprise Strategy Group is a smaller group that recently joined the Omdia family, and we focus on more enterprise-specific, research and tracking technology and business value and technical value.
Well, great to run into you here at Cisco Live, especially since we're with sister companies.
Yeah.
We have had a packed agenda so far, had some really interesting keynotes this morning with CEO Chuck Robbins and the Chief Product Officer, Jitu Patel.
Yep, so much stuff, so many announcements. Yep.
Yeah, and they said that there are 22,000 people at the event this week, which is wild. It felt a little bit like a club almost this morning, just with all the lights coming up and down and
and the dance music,
getting people pumped up in the morning,
trying to get people going.
Yeah, for sure. By no surprise, AI has been a big focus so far this week. They announced AI Canvas, which is sort of an umbrella AI platform, GenAI platform that includes agentic AI and their AI assistant as well, and they demoed that this morning. What were your thoughts on that announcement, and what does it mean for enterprise and even service provider customers?
Well, there's a lot in there. It's an indication of a project that Cisco's undertaken. It's been a couple of years in the making. What they really recognized was they needed to fall back and regroup and think completely new about how to do management, and in particular, how to leverage some of the new technologies like agentic AI, which is really where a lot of this is going. GenAI is really helpful, and it's interesting to see the progression. Last year, Cisco was talking heavily about GenAI, and we've seen a lot of implementations of that in the form of things like AI Assistant, co-pilots, things that help you access knowledge. And now that's progressing beyond just being kind of a database of knowledge to how do we actually have it do more proactive activities? How do we have it break down and do more complex tasks? And how do we now take advantage of that to make it really effective in reducing the workload of folks both in enterprises as well as service providers? So Canvas is their kind of new workspace that's going to leverage the combination of GenAI with the new agentic backend. An important differentiation there is agentic takes tasks, looks at them, breaks them down, and sort of looks to various different systems and data sets in order to solve a problem, versus traditional GenAI and assistants usually focused on just the LLM, the trained model that they would pull from. So it's a nice step forward. Cisco's not alone in doing this. This is happening across the industry. This is Cisco's take on it, and they've taken a very good and comprehensive view on how to apply this. They're applying it to enterprise, but also to service provider. So not only will this show up for those using Cisco's, branch and campus and data center type products, but it's also being included. Pieces of this are being included in Crosswork, which is the service provider assurance platform that they offer.
I thought it was interesting. They were talking about that, and also Agile Services Networking, which I hope to hear a little bit more about this week, which I think includes some new edge routers and also helping service providers provide performance assurance across AI traffic.
Right. There's a lot of focus by Cisco and others, but here on not just how do we use AI, but how do we manage AI? Because AI is being applied in so many different parts of every business, including for service providers in the services they provide, understanding the consumption and quality, understanding sort of the new patterns that are emerging with the use of AI applications is really important, both for network planning and service quality assurance. and for making sure that these AI applications that are so critical to the future evolution now of all enterprises and all service providers and subscribers to service providers, you want to make sure they get the value, and understanding how these behave will be important. So this is why Cisco is looking at this, as how do we, make this work for both enterprise IT departments, but also service providers who are trying to support this. One of the interesting areas is how do we get AI in the hands of organizations, large and small? And in many cases, service providers are in a really great place to be agents to help enterprises access this technology. And so as service providers try to figure out, okay, how do I build an AI native or AI powered service for my subscribers? They can look to Cisco for some validated designs and for some help in understanding, how to get their arms around this and get ahead of it.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe some opportunities for delivering AI as a managed service to their own enterprise customers. So, hopefully we'll hear some more insights on that. And they also did a demo this morning, which was interesting to see a live demo in front of that many people about AI Canvas and how, maybe an IT employee, for example, could prompt it with a troubleshooting question, and then it creates graphs and different widgets that they can use to get better data insights and then also generate reports on their behalf. So they talked a little bit about still having human in the loop with the AI.
Very much focused on human in the loop. And then they use the term human on the loop, which is a slight variation. But the goal is none of this is meant to be completely automated. There will be ability to assist with taking actions. But the starting point is present the actions, let the human operator review them and select them, and have the ability, and this was kind of cool, press a button to undo. So you want the easy button to do, but you also want the quick and easy button to undo in case something goes wrong. I don't think Cisco is unique in figuring out this is how we're going to make AI work for operators and enterprises. They're a little ahead of the market in terms of this canvas and the way they're implementing it. But quite honestly, this is something that's going to change fast. Other people who have these platforms are going to be charging in this direction quickly too. So it's good to see them sort of staying out front. Oftentimes, Cisco isn't leading in the management tools area. They're following. In this case, they're actually right at the front of the market, which is good to see.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And you and I were at the Extreme Connect event recently in Paris, and they were talking about some agentic AI updates to their platform one. So there's definitely, like you said, they've got a lot of competitors that are focusing on this area as well.
They do. And Extreme actually has a dashboarding tool called Canvas. Same name. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be a brandable name, But both, there's some real commonalities between the two. And I think both are indicative of where the industry is going, which is to reimagine management tools, which typically were, siloed by each individual platform you were dealing with. And they were built originally as element management, right? You had to have a tool to help you configure and use this particular product. But ultimately, that ended up with these fractured, non-efficient workflows of trying to move from one tool to another. Now, Cisco's tried to overcome that with some of its tool evolutionary strategy. On the enterprise side, there used to be the old Cisco Works, and then they went to Cisco Prime, and then now they're moving to this new Canvas-based approach. On the service provider side, it's relatively recently, the CrossWorks portfolio is something that's really only been around for a few years now. But there's this continuous attempt to try to bring things together. The cool thing about agentic and the new agentic architectures is they will be easier to integrate with other systems. Here's the big challenge. So Cisco can clean up its story, right? And have a good continuous environment for managing and optimizing their stuff. Extreme does the same thing, right? No vendor or no big and large environment, enterprise or service provider, is a single vendor. So you have multi-vendor challenges, and you have multiple systems OSS and BSS on the on the provider side, other types of service management tools. You need to be able to plug these monitoring systems into those other systems ultimately so they can share data. Agentic brings with it a new type of communications approach, which is these agent-to-agent communications. We hear about it in the MCP server. In this case, is one of the ways that Cisco, for instance, and others are starting to say, "Hey, we're going to use these sort of industry standard interchange protocols that will do the same thing we could do with APIs, but it's much easier because the agentic systems are designed to go and learn about what this particular MCP server offers without you having to code what you're going to get from it." It's early. We'll see how this works. It holds promise to be much easier to integrate and much more flexible. Because one of the problems with API-based integrations is you build code to that API. When that API changes, you have to update your code or your integration breaks, or it's not reaching its full potential. That makes it brittle. And that's been a constant problem over the years for both enterprises and service providers alike who are trying to integrate across multiple tools. So agentic has an opportunity, or at least seems to present the promise of more flexibility and more resilience in these multi-system architectures.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. I'm glad you brought that up. And I think multi-vendor interoperability has always been that. Seems like challenge. That. I don't know, pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Sort
it's
of
out there. You can see it.
But whether it actually happens is sometimes frustrating to watch.
It's hopeful. It's promising. We have to see how it plays out.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's very early. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it for now. I hope you enjoy the rest of the event. It's been so good to see you, and thanks so much for joining me on the podcast.
A pleasure and a privilege. Absolutely. Thanks so much.